In a single week, two events sharply illuminated differing strategies within the British royal family. The Princess of Wales completed a grueling multi-mountain challenge months after cancer treatment, a feat achieved without public fanfare. Simultaneously, another royal's press operation managed headlines from a European resort centered on security demands. The juxtaposition of these actions offers a revealing look into the nature of public credibility. This week presented two contrasting developments. Placed side by side, their implications are so distinct that they require minimal external interpretation. The narrative itself carries the weight. Our role is to detail the precise events, allowing the inherent contrast to inform the conclusions. While the press operation for Harry and Meghan was actively managing perceptions, reportedly briefing journalists from a comfortable European resort regarding security concerns, accommodation requirements, and the emotional impact of a visit for which there appeared to be limited public demand. Conversely, Catherine, Princess of Wales, undertook a distinct endeavour. She completed the national Three Peaks Challenge, traversing Nevis in Scotland, Scafell Pike in England, and Snowdon in Wales. This 23-mile route across some of the British Isles' most challenging terrain was accomplished without prior press briefings, a coordinated public relations rollout, staged cameras at the summit, or a publicist orchestrating its reception. She later stated her motivations were partly personal, expressing gratitude for her strength, but primarily to give something back and acknowledge the incredible work going on up and down this country. She completed all three peaks, returned home, and only then, once the challenge was fully accomplished and not managed for spectacle, did she announce her achievement and its purpose. This forms the initial contrast, self-evident before any explicit analysis or comparative statements are introduced. The image of a woman, months post-cancer treatment, independently ascending 3 mountains for charity, contrasted with another, reportedly from a luxury resort in Portugal, negotiating government security protocols, delineates significant differences between Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Meghan Markle. While the surface implications are evident, a deeper examination reveals further layers beyond mere optics. To contextualize Catherine's physical accomplishment, it is crucial to understand the implications of cancer treatment and recovery. This is not dramatic embellishment, but a documented medical reality. The body undergoes a sustained cellular assault, causing changes not always externally visible post-treatment. The profound fatigue, specific to chemotherapy and its aftermath, can persist for months or even years. Muscle deconditioning occurs during treatment, cardiovascular fitness declines, and the immune system rebuilds. The body essentially reorients itself after a severe medical challenge. Cognitive effects, sometimes termed chemobrain, and the psychological burden are also tangible, and these do not merely dissipate with clear scan results. Therefore, Catherine's completion of the Three Peaks Challenge months after treatment, not years later, nor after an extended rehabilitation, but during the initial stages of rebuilding a life interrupted by diagnosis, represents an extraordinary physical undertaking. This achievement further highlights the private dimension of her public life, sustained by the confidence of her inner circle. It implies months of unpublicized preparation and physical rebuilding. This daily regimen would have run concurrently with managing her public schedule, family commitments, and institutional duties. While the summit itself is a remarkable visible outcome, the untold story lies in those months of unseen preparation and physical reconstruction. Then there is the motivation. This element distinguishes a genuine act from a public relations exercise. Catherine explicitly stated her reasons post-climb, a desire to give something back and raise awareness for individuals living with and beyond cancer, specifically those still within the diagnostic experience, not only those who have completed treatment. Her completion of this significant feat, undertaken in privacy and only announced upon achievement, aligns with her established approach. In contrast, what transpired concurrently with Meghan. While Catherine had specified her intention to support the Royal Marsden and Cancer Research UK and to address those fighting cancer, with the direct message, "Please know you are not alone," Meghan chose that week to launch a new product, distribute a summer entertainment email, and promote her appearance on MasterChef Australia. Catherine's 4 words, delivered without a strategy session, a coordinated release timed to a news cycle, or publicist approval, carried weight because they originated from her direct, lived experience, making their authenticity palpable. A notable detail revealing Catherine's intrinsic character emerged from the challenge itself. This is a quality impervious to brand strategy. While on the trail, engaged in a physically demanding and genuinely meaningful endeavor, she was largely unrecognized by other hikers, blending in as another individual on the mountain path. Crucially, in this unobserved setting, she yielded to descending climbers, carried her own backpack, and paused to offer comfort to struggling individuals. These actions were not performed for cameras or as a calculated brand touchpoint. They reflect an inherent empathy. The future Queen of England, unrecognized, stepping aside for strangers on a mountain path, illustrates an authentic self, manifest when external observation is absent. Public life can be approached in two distinct ways. One involves constant self-awareness of one's role, never fully separating the public persona from the private individual. The other permits moments of detachment, allowing one to simply exist in a space. Catherine's conduct on the trail demonstrated an ability, honed over 15 years, to manage her public responsibilities while retaining personal humanity, exemplified by her willingness to assist strangers. The compelling footage that later emerged from members of the public, rather than official sources, underscored the genuine nature of her experience. To fully grasp the dynamics of that week, it is necessary to consider concurrent developments. The complete picture emerges from viewing both frames simultaneously, as neglecting parallel events would omit crucial elements that render this period a remarkable instance of royal messaging. The term storytelling is employed advisedly, given that one narrative was actively constructed, while the other unfolded organically. Harry and Meghan were reportedly in Portugal, a standard choice for a European holiday destination. However, this location presented a particular dynamic when juxtaposed with simultaneous briefings to journalists regarding the alleged impossibility of visiting the United Kingdom without comprehensive government security. The security dispute garnered substantial, and not uniformly sympathetic, media attention. Reports surfaced of tearful phone calls allegedly reaching journalists within hours, suggesting specific intent regarding their dissemination. Detailed briefings, attributed to sources close to Harry, outline precise security requirements prerequisite to any visit. Threats to cancel the visit were reportedly met with public skepticism and apparent miscalculation by the Sussex communications team. Their press operation appeared to be functioning at near-peak capacity, generating content headlines and briefing sympathetic outlets on the emotional aspects of the situation. This effort aimed to frame the security narrative as a father's protective concern for his children, rather than a man issuing extensive demands from a Portuguese hotel. This entire coordinated activity, including briefings and phone calls, resulted in a week's coverage that effectively requested public sympathy for an individual managing a dispute over UK government resources from a comfortable European setting. Simultaneously, Catherine ascended Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike and Snowdon, carrying her own backpack. She navigated the same weather and challenging terrain as other hikers, largely unrecognized, and paused to assist struggling strangers, a reflection of her character. She completed 23 miles of demanding British terrain without a press advance team, a coordinated communication strategy, or real-time publicist oversight. Upon completion, she conveyed to cancer patients that they were not alone, informed by her own experience. Within this exact news cycle, the Sussex operation launched a product line and a MasterChef Australia promotion, a timing that warrants examination due to its distinct nature. This timing suggests either a significant strategic miscalculation, where a team renowned for media savviness and accurate environmental assessment failed to anticipate that a cancer survivor completing a charity mountain challenge would dominate royal coverage, thereby misjudging the impact of launching lifestyle products into that environment. Alternatively, it could signify a deliberate attempt to divert attention from Catherine's actions. Both possibilities pose challenges for the Sussex brand's long-term trajectory. A miscalculation indicates a diminished capacity to assess the media landscape. A deliberate competitive choice, however, exposes a more fundamental misunderstanding of public reception and underlying motivations. This week underscores a broader observation. The royal family functions not as a monolithic entity, but as an aggregation of individuals making distinct choices about leveraging public attention. Some of these decisions accumulate into an impact, while others quickly dissipate. Catherine's consistent choices, both public and private, have generated a cumulative effect now visibly resistant to direct competition, irrespective of surrounding news cycles. This forms the underlying narrative beneath the publicized physical feat. A deeper analytical point merits consideration beyond the readily apparent surface comparison. The distinction between Catherine's action and Meghan's product launch was widely self-evident. The focus shifts to understanding the rapid widening of the gap between these two figures and what this signifies about public perception and engagement. Authenticity is not a brand position. This statement warrants reiteration and clarification. Authenticity cannot be manufactured via curated emotional disclosures in a Netflix documentary, regardless of its production quality. It is not constructed through podcasts featuring vulnerable moments designed for demographic connection. Nor can it be engineered via product lines, lifestyle emails with persuasive copy, or cooking show cameos aimed at brand visibility. While such efforts can project an impression of authenticity to a less discerning audience, they do not generate genuine authenticity. The distinction between creating an impression and producing the real quality is perceptible to most, even if inarticulately so. In its most observable form, authenticity represents the self that exists unobserved. It manifests on a mountain path at dawn, with fatigue setting in and the summit still distant. The impetus to continue must be genuine, as no artifice can sustain one in that state. It is evident when one recognizes a struggling stranger and selflessly offers aid, despite the personal cost of interrupting one's own effort. Authenticity also defines the choice to forego available platforms, profile, and institutional support for a public endeavor, recognizing that staging it for cameras would diminish rather than amplify its inherent meaning. Over the past 18 months, Catherine's authentic self has emerged, primarily in private, devoid of press announcements, coordinated rollouts, or managed recovery narratives. Her experience was that of a woman rebuilding after cancer treatment, a process of slow, disciplined effort marked by both challenging and surprising moments of physical resilience. Subsequently, her ascent of 3 mountains and her message of solidarity, "You are not alone," stemmed not from communication strategy, but from her personal experience of that solitude. This is not a brand narrative. A brand narrative is inherently constructed for a predetermined effect and audience, bearing the hallmarks of its creation. Catherine's actions resonated authentically because they lacked these constructed elements, a difference instinctively felt by the public. Consider a photograph released in the same week, presenting another critical comparison regarding the choices made by these two households. This quiet image of Catherine and George for Armed Forces Day depicted a young future king's introduction to military service and national appreciation, conveyed with an unhurried, genuine quality. It was not pre-announced as a major media event or designed for specific coverage, but rather served as a considered, gentle introduction. The photograph mirrored a responsible parental act, connecting a child to something meaningful while respecting both the child's individuality and the significance of the subject. Prince George appeared natural, an observation not minor, as children managed for public consumption often do not exhibit such unaffected presence. Contrast this with the concurrent briefings regarding the potential for Archie and Lilibet to visit the UK, framed within the security dispute narrative. Here the children's prospective presence reportedly functioned as emotional leverage in negotiations, injecting a sympathetic element into a story otherwise meeting public skepticism. This detail positioned the narrative as a grandfather separated from his grandchildren, rather than a man issuing demands from a Portuguese resort. While the underlying circumstances, a cancer diagnosis, prolonged separation, and children's right to family connection are undeniably genuine and poignant, their deployment within a security dispute press cycle effectively rendered the children supporting characters in a negotiation with a government department. One approach involved a parent introducing a child to public life via a meaningful, non-leveraged image. The other involved briefing journalists on the emotional cost of his children not seeing their grandfather, set against arguments over police protection budgets. Both scenarios involve children not opting into these circumstances. The divergent manner of their involvement constitutes a particularly revealing detail of the week. Ultimately, the stark and visible contrast between these two women transcends mere strategic aptitude. It stems from one consistently choosing substance over performance, allowing genuine actions to exist without the communications layer that commodifies reality into content. This cumulative effect of sustained, quiet choices across 15 years of public life has forged a self-reliant public persona that no brand strategy can replicate or compete with. This is the enduring outcome of Catherine's achievements on Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Snowdon, not a calculated strategy or reaction, but the natural consequence of authentic action and subsequent truth-telling. Its resonance will likely endure long after product launches, security briefings, and quickly leaked tearful phone calls fade from memory.